Okay, once the sling is in place, you are ready for the Hoyer lift. You'll also make sure that the wheelchair is in place as well too, where you want it to be. So when you're bringing the Hoyer lift in, you want to make sure the swivel bar is not too low that it's going to hit the tenant. So you're going to bring it over their middle part of their body. When hooking up, if the Hoyer lift is going to move, put the brakes on, which is on the bottom here. And you'll want to open up the bottom legs as well too. So we're going to hook up the top of the shoulders first. Typically the strap we'll use is the shortest one. Some of them are color coded, but each of the slings will be a little bit different. So the shortest should go to the shoulder, so you want to put that on the loop first. If there is too much tension to try and hook up the sling, just lower the boom so that you're not pinching your fingers when you're trying to force it on there. When you're putting the other side onto the Hoyer lift, if you can get around the bed to the other side, that's preferable. If you can't, if you just put your knee on the bed, reach over, you can hook it up. Now this sling has 3 hooks, so the middle strap, you will either use the shortest strap or the middle strap, and that goes to the middle of the swivel board, making sure that it's hooked in there. And then again, if you put your knee on the bed, you can hook up the other side. Make sure that when you're hooking up the straps, both sides are the same loop. Otherwise, they will come up very crooked. The leg straps, you're going to use the longest strap. When we're going up, you're going to want to make sure that as you're raising the boom, that the straps are going to stay on. So you're always going to be watching as it's going up. The leg straps you can kind of hold out so that it's not rising up. So this strap is starting to come forward, so you want to make sure that it's down. Once it gets tight on the loops, then you'll be okay. You can keep going. With the leg straps, you can stop at certain spots to raise the legs up and just pull the fabric out so that it's flatter on their legs, so it's not digging into their legs. You're going to bring the tenant's legs off the side of the bed when their bum has come off. When their buttocks has come off the bed, you're going to slide their legs off. You're going to carefully move the Hoyer lift back. And then you always want the tenant facing you. So you're going to make sure that one leg is on each side of the mast so that they're facing you. With both handles, you want to maneuver the machine. If you're on carpeting and the machine is not moving easily, you can use your foot to try and push it if you're having a hard time. Never try twisting your back to move the Hoyer lift. Then you're going to bring it into the wheelchair. As they're coming down, there's a couple different ways you can assist them back into their wheelchair. If they have a power wheelchair, you're going to tilt the wheelchair back a little bit so it'll help. So if the tenant can use the controls, then get them to use the controls. As they're coming down, you can push back on their knees. Manual wheelchairs will tilt back. Don't worry, they will not fall back. So you want to make sure that they're not sliding out of the wheelchair. Another way you can do this is if you get your body mechanics and you're pushing their knees back with your arm and pushing them down. Or you can do this from behind as well. With your hand on the controller, you can grab hold of the straps and pull them back as you put them down. As the boom is coming down, you want to make sure that the swivel bar is not going to hit their head. You want to make sure they're centered before you remove the sling from the Hoyer lift, so that you don't have to do as much repositioning after. So you're going to lower it enough so that there's slack to get the loops off easily. Take the back off. So as you can see, I'm moving to the other side of the Hoyer lift to undo the straps. You never want to reach through the Hoyer lift because you will hit your head. And you always want to make sure that you hang on to the swivel bar until it's away from the tenant's head. And then move the Hoyer lift right out of the way. You can close the legs and just place it under the bed. That way you won't back up into the Hoyer lift. To remove the sling on the wheelchair, you want to, again, look at your body mechanics. You can squat or you can kneel down, whatever's comfortable for you. You lift the legs 10 and up, bring the sling out from under them, push it all the way back. Do the same for the other leg. You always want to have the tenant in front of you whenever you're doing these movements so that you can have the proper body mechanics. If the tenant can sit up by themselves without any guidance, you can pull their shoulders back and just pull the sling out. If they need you to be in front of them or have more, you can always lean them forward with your arm and pull the sling out that way as well too. If they need to be repositioned in the wheelchair, you can do it from behind or from the front. You can slouch down a little bit. So if the tenant needs their buttocks back in the chair, some might have molded seats, molded backrests, so you really have to get them into the wheelchair as best as you can with the Hoyer lift, because they'll make it much easier. If the tenant slides forward, you can pull their shoulders forward, if they can hold this, and you can do one hip back at a time by lifting the thigh, pushing back on the knee. So you can see that one hip goes back. Do it again on the other side. And you would push them back until they're all the way back into the wheelchair. Another way of doing this is you can pull your shoulders forward, lift their legs and push back on both knees. Another way you can do from behind the wheelchair, pull them forward, and if you grab hold of the waistband, and you pull up and back. You always want to make sure their seams are straight when they're in the wheelchair. So you can lift them up, and it's just a matter of moving the pant leg where you need to move them. Always make sure the brakes are on the wheelchair or the power is off on a power wheelchair. Make sure the casters are always facing back so that you're not tripping on them. They might have footrests, they might have a headrest. Any adaptations to the wheelchair, they will direct you on what they need to have done.